Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Thank you very much for joining me. Our patient is in AL201. I have no idea what car this is. It came here for cloning. That's when this one has an OG, signifying that this is the original one. But the other one didn't make it. Only this one was sent. So instead of cloning it, let's just fix it. I'm not sure if this is the one that I talked to the customer about, because this was purchased through eBay and the listing for cloning was purchased, which coincidentally it costs the same as the repair, so it makes no difference to me. But maybe this is the one that I talked to the customer about. He ordered the cloning, he bought the replacement, and then he described the issues of the ECM, to which I said that, you don't need to clone it, I can fix the original one. But if you send them both, I'll fix your original and I'll do the cloning. So you're gonna have spare. So maybe this is the one. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't. There's been so many ECMs lately that I can't really keep track of that. If we've had some conversation at some point, about the ECM, I'm not gonna remember which one it was. Especially since the conversations that we have about these and the time it actually makes it to the shop can be, a week apart, even 2 weeks, sometimes even more. So obviously I'm just not gonna remember the context. That's why I always advise to submit a ticket and just do it through the ticketing system. Even if you purchase via eBay, you can still submit a ticket, and I'll just link the order, eBay order, or I'll just mark it that it was paid via eBay. But then we have a history, right? And this one also didn't have anything in the box. Some people do the printout of the order from eBay and put it in the box. Some people leave their addresses or names and stuff like that. Some people leave the ticket tracking ID, so I can match it when I receive the ECM. I can match it. In some cases, it's just an ECM, and the return address is the address of the UPS store from which it has been sent, right? No name, no nothing. But oftentimes I can just match, because I only have one open order for someone from, say, from Colorado, and one that I cannot match to anything is from Colorado, and that's how I find the owner. Anyways, let's get this done quickly, because this is gonna be a super low energy video because I'm so tired. But it's the last ECM this week. Even if I receive, because I'm waiting for a couple more or even 3 more. So yeah, it's been raining ECMs lately. But I'm not gonna do them this week. I'm gonna do them next weekend. Enough ECMs this weekend, because I've done I don't know, 4 or 5. Not all of them had the video. So I'm ready to do something else. But I'm super sleepy, mainly because of the weather. It's been super hot for the past few days, a few weeks actually, like a month, maybe even over a month, which I love. I love hot weather. People around here, not so much, because they are used to hot weather, so they don't really like that. Plus, it costs a lot of money, a lot of electricity to keep the temperature low in the apartment, right? So that's understandable that people around here don't really enjoy hot weather, but I do. So I'm not too happy, but the temperature dropped to 70s, low 70s, right? So it's not like it got really cold, but it is also very rainy today, very gloomy, right? There's no sun and a lot of rain, which my garden definitely appreciates. but for that reason I just kind of feel low energy. It took me a while to just kind of get started today. It's my second coffee and I'm still not feeling awake. So we're gonna do a little low energy video if you don't mind. I understand people don't like heat waves over here, and it's not like it doesn't bother me at all, right? It's sure I have my limits as well. I just like it because I grew up in cold region of Europe, Northern Europe, right? Well, maybe not Northern Europe because we're talking Poland, right? So not super up north. It's not like Sweden or what have you. But it's cold. Like in Poland, it's a little bit different nowadays compared to when I was a kid, because the weather has changed a bit. So the winters are not like they used to be when I was a kid, and even before I was born, the pictures I've seen of the winters, you know, the amount of snow that would fall was amazing. Like the pictures of basically tunnels instead of roads. You have basically tunnels, right? um, Dug through the snow. So it was cold. It obviously it was fun when we were kids. You know, snowball fights and building snowmen and fortresses and that kind of stuff. That was, yeah, I have a lot of good memories regarding that. Sure, but overall, I don't like being cold. I just plainly don't like being cold, and I don't mind being a bit too hot when it's too hot outside. And as I said, sure, it gets uncomfortable from time to time when it's like super hot and basically too hot, right? So we just try to escape to a air-conditioned room, right? The air-conditioned place. But one thing that definitely bothers me around here when it's hot is that, you know, if it's super hot, then you obviously dress appropriately, right? In Poland, I don't know if that is a universal saying, but in Poland we have a saying that there is no bad weather. It's just inappropriately dressed people, right? So when my wife came to Poland, we lived in Poland few years. In some cases, well, I remember especially one time when she was complaining about being cold, right? And I was kind of dismissive, and she said, well, you could at least say sorry or something like that. So I said, well, I'm sorry you did not dress appropriately to the weather. But you know, if you come from a hot place, you're just kind of used to like lighter clothes, and you know, so yeah, you're not gonna, especially initially, you're not gonna dress appropriately to the weather initially in the new place, right? But what bothers me around here is that when it is hot, I dress appropriately, so light clothes and you know all that. And then you walk into the restaurant or a grocery store or you know whatever place or in the office, and they put the temperature to like 68 degrees or something. 68 degrees to me, that's chilly. I wear a jacket, a light jacket, but still. So on one hand it's like super hot outside, and you walk inside and it's cold. That's what bothers me the most around here, right? So if it's a little cooler, at least that problem is solved as far as my preferences go. And it's not that hard for me to just kind of stay cool, even if it's super hot. And I just kind of I like it. The thing that I like the most is that you don't have to dress up to walk outside, basically, right? You just put anything and it's all good. That's what I like. As growing up as a kid, you know, anytime you want to go outside, you have to put tons of layers. And it's a different kind of cold, because it gets cold in Atlanta as well, right? Last year, this last winter, we had some snow on the ground. We had some frost, something I've never seen around here. But I do know it happens. I did know it happens every like 5-6 years, something like that. I did know about that from people, but I've never seen it myself. So that was the first time I've actually seen it. So it does get cold, but it's different kind of cold, right? A Polish cold is like very much overwhelming. Like that chill, that northern chill goes straight through you. It's piercing. All right, okay, so we got this done. Let's see if we can do it very quickly without stalling too much. Let's see what the chip looks like. It looks good. Okay, we're not gonna need this. Let's grab these and let's put this over here. And let's put some awesome flux on my chip. Now, as far as I've tested this flux on a very challenging repair, which is working on PlayStation 5. This flux is not very effective for PlayStation 5 unless you actually preheat the board and keep the board hot, because PS5 boards are like really super designed to dissipate heat really quickly, really efficiently, right? These are like really awesome boards, but very hard to work on. Whether you do BGA or just any soldering. I was doing the PS5, the HDMI port replacement, right? Pretty basic, but I couldn't get the pins tinned with this flux because it wasn't hot enough. The board wasn't hot enough, right? So you could put it on the preheater, sure, or you can blow hot air on it to keep the temperature high, or you can use more aggressive flux, right? So I had to use more aggressive acid flux, which allows you to work on a much lower temperature with still pretty good results, right? So it kind of depends on the kind of job you do, right? The device you're working on, and also your procedure, right? Because if I heated it up sufficiently, I would definitely be able to use my flux on it. But I just wanted to be done with that because I really don't like doing the HDMI replacement. I listed it on eBay, I don't know, like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I don't know. Quite a while ago, right? And since then I've done a lot of them, but all for the same customer. I basically have one customer from California that sends me PlayStations for port replacement. But since I'm charging, I don't know, like literally, well, he also sends me the return label, right? So I don't pay for shipping. But I make, I don't know, like $38 maybe on it, right? And it's a lot of work. Mainly on PS4 is a little easier. PS5 has tons and tons of screws, right? So disassembly and reassembly alone is a lot of work. I mean, now maybe not so much because I've done it so many times that it doesn't take that much, and I no longer need to like look at the picture where the screws go. I just kind of remember where the screws are supposed to go, so it's a lot quicker. But still, it's a lot of screws. And then the board itself is very problematic because you have to heat it up significantly. So even if to remove the original port, you have to blast it with a lot of heat. And then to resolder it, the same problem, right? You have to heat it up sufficiently for the solder to actually take, all right, to actually flow where you want it to flow. So it's problematic. So I'm thinking that I think I have like 3 or 4 quantity left on that listing, and I don't think I'm going to be renewing that. When I listed that, I didn't have much work, right? So I was just taking any job I could get, and at pretty much any price. But now I have to prioritize my time a little bit, so I can't take just any job, right? I need to be more selective, because there's not enough time in the day to work on stuff like that. Okay, this tip is done, and it has been done for a while now, but I still use it, and it still works, as you can see, but now it requires a lot of temperature manipulation, right? And it's probably because some people use the sponge, right, the wet sponge, and it saves, it definitely prolongs the lifetime of the tip for sure, but it also doesn't clean that well. So I use this, what is it, copper or whatever, like kind of the wool, the steel wool, basically what you use for washing dishes and stuff, right? So it's supposed to be soft enough not to actually hurt the tip, not to scrape the layer that makes the tip good, right? But it does to a certain extent. So yeah, maybe I will switch to wet sponges instead of steel wool, or whatever the material is, the metal wool, let's call it that way, and it will prolong the lifetime of my tips. But even with as you can see, even with crappy tip, you can still get the job done. Look at that actually worked really well. The challenge over here is when you want to apply solder over here with flux, the challenge is to heat it up just right. If you hold it for too long, then the flux is gonna just kind of burn into the solder. It's gonna be hard to clean. So you don't want to burn the flux, but you want to melt the solder well. So that is the challenge over here. So as you can see, over many repairs, over many videos I published on this, you can see that sometimes it works better, sometimes it works not so much. We're all just human, so no matter how many times you've done it, sometimes it's just not gonna go well, sometimes it's just gonna be problematic, and that is the way she goes. Nothing we can do with that. Okay, do I need to clean it? Well, no, not really. I just want to see where the dot is so I can align the chip, and let's place it on. What's our time? It's been 21 minutes. Oh, no rushing, otherwise it's not gonna work. Come on, focus, chip, align, and let's put a little bit of flux. It's kind of hard to gauge a little bit of flux with this flux because it's pretty thick. I'm thinking of putting a little more, maybe a little more glycerin in the next batch. That improves viscosity, right? It makes the flux a lot softer, it makes it flow a lot better, but it smokes more because there's more, all that glycerin needs to burn off. And I already use relatively low amounts of glycerin. I could also use even less glycerin, but use PEG 400. Now the reason I don't want to do that is that I want my flux to be organic. But what I will do, especially to work on devices like PlayStations and stuff like that, of fake boards, I will make a batch of acid flux. Actually, it'll be RMA still, right? Not pure acid flux, but it will be an aggressive non-NC flux, just for that purpose. Because in the PS5 last time I used Kingbow flux, and yeah, it worked great, but I really don't like the smell. It's really awful. I don't want to subject myself to that smell anymore. Sure, it works great, but that's not everything, you know. Okay, the chip doesn't want to sit in the position, so we need to help it a little. There. Oh, I'm at 86, so it shouldn't be doing this. Come on, chip, sit in place. This is not a negotiation. You're gonna sit and you're gonna get aligned like this. And there. This was actually the most challenging part when I started doing this. The most challenging part was actually to replace the chip and then to solder on around it. That's what I used to struggle with the most. Now it just kind of, well, it's still sometimes, as you can see, sometimes it can give you problems. Sure. No matter how long you work on something, you're never gonna bring your success rate to all the way to 100%, that you're successful every single time. There's gonna be some bad days, especially in the mechanical technician world, right? There's always, well, maybe not always, something that will go wrong, but most often, right? And the worst part is that, you know, the documentation or the price list says that this should take you 2 hours, so you're gonna get paid for 2 hours no matter how long it actually takes you. And yeah, it takes 2 hours if there are no rusty bolts underneath, and you know, and everything goes the way it's supposed to go. Sure, on a new car that takes 2 hours to install or replace or what have you, but on an old car, especially north of the Rust Belt, no, it's, yeah, it says unbolt these two, you know, unscrew these two bolts, but oh, you have to cut through them. Once you cut through them, you have to find the replacement. Then when you remove the part, some other rusty part just kind of falls off, or you discover that you have to replace something else, and you know, you want to be diligent, so you want to replace it, right? But no one's paying you for that, so that really sucks. That's why we have a shortage of mechanics, and it's not about to change because the dealers don't want to change, because it's a really good business for the dealership, because they take the majority of that money for doing nothing, and then when something is wrong, right, if the car comes back on warranty, then you are to blame and you have to fix it. So you have to provide warranty and work for maybe 40% of what the customer is actually being charged, right? A very crappy situation. Not to mention, you know, I was always fascinated with mechanics. I worked with a friend of mine worked on cars, right? I even had a quick episode. I worked for like a week in a shop, but that was very early. Early on, I wasn't any good, right? I wasn't very valuable. Sure, I could do some stuff, but they were looking for someone who's more competent in this profession, not me. Even now, I don't think I would be any good, but definitely I could do a lot more than I could back then. So I was always fascinated by this work, and I always enjoyed it because it wasn't my job. If it were my job, you know, the job is dirty. You always huffing harsh chemicals, not only gasoline and stuff, but like, you know, brake fluid or brake parts cleaners and acetone and all that kind of stuff. It really takes a toll on your body because you work in awful positions. You have to have a lot of strength as well. So typically you have to be a big guy to do that. But if you have proper tools, usually you can work smart, not hard. But you don't always have proper tools, and oftentimes when you get a job as a mechanic, you have to bring your own tools, which is especially egregious to me. Because not only you have to buy those tools, but now, you know, the tools are depreciating, right? Because you're using them. So sooner or later you have to replace them. So you're basically paying to maintain your own tools while being taken advantage of by the dealer. So yeah, tough job, very tough job. What's our time? 30 minutes, perfect. I think this is done. Let me give it a quick visual under the scope, but it looks really well. So this one didn't give us any problems, which is great. Sometimes they do. They don't want to solder on, or like the last one, didn't really want to solder on nicely. Oh yeah. Oh, we have a little bowl, a little tiny solder ball. There. I've never seen that before, but I'm glad I checked, because this would be an issue eventually, because it would because there are two tiny little solder balls in between those two pins over here, right? So they could have shorted ground to this pin, although this probably is not NC, but this is the signal, right? So that would not be good. So that's why you do visual inspection under the optical microscope. Now the digital one won't give you the perfect solution, the perfect view. Sometimes you just have to see it with your own eyes, not a computer image. But it's definitely better to have any microscope than no microscope at all. Throughout my career in electronics, I always used, before I started doing this professionally, I used just a head loop, right? The one you put on your head, and that's what you use, right? So I would use optics only. But then, if you use something like that, well, first of all, it's not that great, and it's tough on your head, on your ears. You get, if you wear something 8 hours a day, then yeah, it's gonna take a toll on whatever it touches. But also, it's not the magnification is not great, and if you also want to show people what you're doing, then obviously the head loop is not gonna work. Alright, looks like I missed a little spot over here. This is NC Flux, so that's no big deal, but I just don't like leaving the signs of fluxing on the board. And there. Alright, this is done, and that's the last ECM this weekend. Oh, it's been quite a few of these, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. If it was up to me, I would get 10 of these a week, and I would gladly do them, because it doesn't take that much time, especially if you don't have to record, especially it doesn't take that long, and it's good money. It's not awesome money maybe, but it's good money. When I do laptops, sometimes I spend days, weeks even on a single machine, and I charge 150, 200 bucks, right? It's better to do one repair like this, and you're done, and you get your money, right? There. Okay. And we're nice clean, and I just need to clean this up. And next we're gonna do some motherboard, or at least, yeah, I figured my microphone would die at some point throughout this procedure, because that was like a third or fourth video I did on the same batteries, so those need to be recharged now. Alrighty, thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you in the next one.